Leticia James gets a big fat bar complaint from Representative Elise Stefanik. It's a good one. 64 pages. Tish, of course, is the person responsible for bringing the civil prosecution, we're calling it, against Trump and his businesses. We're waiting for Judge Engoron, aka the Areola, aka the Nip, to come back out and issue his ruling, finding out if Trump's going to be fined $300+ billion. But Stefanik sent in this monster bar complaint saying this woman is not even legitimate to practice law. She has violated her ethical responsibilities and she's got to be booted out of the system. Trump is responding to Tish, and we know who this woman is, but if you're just joining us, not real familiar with her, she's the person trying to destroy Trump's New York businesses. And she ran for office advocating about stopping Trump. She's the Attorney General for New York, and she has been sitting in the same pew in the trial for weeks, and we're awaiting a ruling. This is the person behind this, Leticia James.
And what would you say to people who say, oh, I'm not going to bother to register to vote because my voice doesn't make a difference, or I'm just one person?
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally.
I love it. He probably does already.
This illegitimate president who sits in the White House.
That president, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. His days are numbered.
We've got to get ready to mobilize, and we've got to get ready to agitate and irritate until victory is won, but more importantly, until Trump is defeated.
As the next Attorney General, I see the law as a sword and as a shield to protect those who are vulnerable, because no one is above the law, including this illegitimate president. And so, I look forward.
Isn't that insurrectionary language? Like, how is she getting away with that? Why isn't she indicted and thrown in the gulags?
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending him right, and then going home.
And at the eye of the storm is Donald Trump, ripping families apart, threatening women's most basic rights. I'm running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
Did you see her facial spasm? Did you see her facial spasm? That's how demented she is, okay? That's TDS right there, look. This illegitimate president, okay? The whole face is twisted up. It's like the dark side, man. Here it is, one more time.
I'm running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president. He should be charged with obstructing justice. I believe that the President of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses. It's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end.
All right, so that's this woman, okay? Now, she gets a big fat bar complaint, and one that couldn't even be more deserved. This comes out from Elise Stefanik. Here is what she says. From Representative Elise Stefanik. Of course, this is not on her official government letterhead. It is from Elise Stefanik personally. She lives apparently in Glen Falls, New York. Now, she sends this over to the Committee on Professional Standards for New York, the committee that governs bar licenses. And you can see this monster is 64 pages. Shout out to Elise Stefanik. Woo! Look at all these documented statements that are inside this filing. Lots of messages. And let's see what she does to assemble them all. The complaint against Leticia says, all right, New York Attorney General Leticia violated the rules of professional conduct. She has attacked President Trump and made extrajudicial statements during a trial. That's not what lawyers are supposed to do. In just the first 5 weeks of the trial that began, and before I stopped counting, Miss James made over 50 highly inappropriate and prejudicial comments on social media. This complaint respectfully requests that Attorney Grievance Committee conduct an investigation and issue an immediate interim suspension and disbar Miss James as an attorney and a counselor at law, or suspend her. Now, the investigation and the trial of Trump are matters of enormous public concern. All citizens like James have First Amendment rights, but as a licensed attorney, Tish is subject to specific rules and responsibilities under the code. They create specific restrictions that apply only to attorneys and not to other citizens, and that's why she is busted. So here's the story. They say, as an attorney licensed in New York, Miss James is subject to the rules of professional conduct. You have a license, there are rules, they take it seriously. They give us some background. It is well settled that rules of professional conduct also apply to public officials. The rules say that as an officer, each lawyer has a duty to uphold the legal process, to demonstrate respect for the legal system, to seek the improvement of law, and to promote access. In addition, a lawyer should build confidence in the rule of law and, in a constitutional democracy, maintain their authority. All right. Now, violation of the rules may be professionally disciplined if you violate those. Now, this committee has the ability to go after Tish. So here's the specifics. They say Miss James, the reason why she needs to be disbarred and suspended immediately is because she ran for office with a personal vendetta against Trump since he was first elected president. Her comments as AG reflect adversely on her fitness as a lawyer. The rules say she shall not engage in conduct that reflects on her fitness as a lawyer, but she has. She has engaged in a ton of different appearances, press conferences, legislative hearings, radio broadcasts, podcasts. She's gone on television appearances and she's made court appearances. And all of this was improper. Now, before she became a candidate for the AG, James displayed extreme partisan hostility towards Trump. During Trump's first year in office, James led die-in protests against Trump. She said, "We're all being killed by this administration." She accused Trump of blatant disregard for human lives. She talked about Trump and saying she's leading the resistance against Trump and she's going to continue to do so in every way. She also campaigned for Attorney General, explicitly focused on him. During her campaign, she called him a con man. She called him a carnival barker. During a debate, she said that she promised to focus on Trump if she were elected. Her obsession continued in 2018 during her election night victory speech. She said her victory was, quote, about a man in the White House who can't go a day without threatening our fundamental rights. She said she was going to expose this. Now, during the transition period before she took office, James promised to use every area of the law to investigate Trump, right? She had a vendetta from day one. She also leveraged her campaign attacks into fundraising appeals. In 2018, she posted a message to Act Blue, which is a Democrat Party and candidate fundraising platform. She said, "In this fight against Trump and this harmful administration, I need your help." She did not just promise baseless investigations into Trump. She also prejudged evidence that she had not even seen. She called for criminal charges. She said that she made it clear that Trump would be her top target. She told voters she'd been elected because Trump should be indicted. Before the primary, James also specifically called for Trump to be indicted on criminal charges. She said obstruction, accused him of money laundering, all these things. She said Trump's days of defrauding America are coming to an end. Since day one, she was running on this. Now, she's displayed a personal vendetta, Tishy, against Trump, making her unable to impartially handle these cases. She used promises of investigations to raise money. Despite her bias, she launched frivolous investigations and other lawsuits. She prejudged evidence that she had not even seen. She called for indictments without seeing any evidence. It should go without saying that this is an abuse of an attorney's position. And as a lawyer, Miss James should not have made these comments about Trump. Having made these comments, James should have recused herself from any official action by her office involving Trump. Even legal commentators who politically oppose Trump have said she's made some bad statements. You know Dan Goldman, the guy who bought his Congress seat in New York, he served as the lead counsel for Democrats. He warned that James's statements give an appearance of an individualized vendetta. He says it's important for prosecutors to maintain their neutrality. This guy called Chuck Rosenberg, who worked with Robert Mueller, said that James should consider recusing herself from matters involving Trump because she has demonstrated a prejudgment of the facts. Every good prosecutor knows those comments are a problem, they said. Rosenberg said Miss James should recuse herself again. Now, as the Supreme Court said in a case involving Trump, the law seeks to protect against the abuse of politically motivated prosecutors. And Miss James and her extreme partisanship, her lack of impartiality, her personal vendetta, jumping to baseless conclusions, really question her fitness as a lawyer under Rule 8.4H. And her refusal to recuse herself is also something that adversely impacts and reflects upon her fitness. If the committee determines that she did violate the rules, she should be disbarred or suspended. Now, here's the background further. In September 2021, James filed a civil suit against Trump and his businesses. From the very beginning, she was constantly attacking him. She was publicly commenting on and mischaracterizing the evidence. She made a bunch of Twitter posts attacking the credibility of the witnesses and others. At press conferences announcing the lawsuit, James accused Trump of violating the law. She said, "For too long, powerful people like Trump have operated like the rules don't apply to them." And she went on a big speech. She has held other press conferences and so on. She has also communicated through social media about the trial. Just during the first 5 weeks of the trial, Tishy posted about Trump and his family more than 50 times on her X account. As of November, when I stopped tallying, these posts have been viewed more than 54 million times. Screenshots are attached. Her comments during the lawsuit and the trial looks like those violate Rules 3.6 and Rules 8.4. Rule 3.6 governs trial publicity. It says a lawyer who is participating in a trial trial shall not make extrajudicial statements that the lawyer knows is going to impact the public, knowingly, right? And they say Tish clearly did that. During the trial, Tishy repeatedly made prejudicial public comments about Trump. For example, in the first 5 weeks alone after the trial began, here's what Tishy said. When it comes to running a company, Trump doesn't care about the facts. He engages in fraud. Trump and others have committed repeated fraud. Regardless of Trump's fantasies, his inflated net worth caused fraud. Said that he filed fraudulent statements. Says he's committed repeated fraud, and so on. Okay, she's just running her mouth every day on X. Here are all the posts. New York State AG, State AG, State AG. She's posting like mad. Okay, all of her other statements are there. Now, she's also accusing Trump and other Trump family members of having lied. During the trial, she repeatedly accused Trump and his family members of lying. She made that statement. Said Trump fraud is very real. Here's another one. We've proven Trump lied about his net worth. Trump might lie, but the facts and the numbers don't. Trump can keep lying. Eric Trump also pretended not to know, and so on. Okay, those are all of her posts. Those are all of the X's, one right after the other every single day after trial. She also made personal attacks against Trump. During the first 5 weeks of trial, she launched personal attacks against Trump. Says the Donald Trump show is over. Trump lives in fantasy land. Trump is fomenting violence. Trump's race baiting. Trump is baseless. Trump is making dangerous racist comments, and so on, right? Trump is a bully. All of these statements, she can't get enough of it. It's her whole life. And her comments violate the rules. James is participating in the civil lawsuit and the trial. She brought the lawsuit. It's her office. She also personally attended the trial and sat in that pew that's going to need to be replaced. She also made numerous extrajudicial statements. She held press conferences. She gave interviews. She posted more than 50 times in the first 5 weeks. Many of those posts included videos. She discussed her views and evidence that came into court that very day. All right, so she is talking about stuff that matters. She's also disseminating this stuff publicly. They know that Trump is a presidential candidate. She's seeking global media attention. She knows, or reasonably should know, that these statements are going to be spread far and wide all over the interwebs. Now, as further evidence of this knowledge, she has specifically sought out national attention. She announced the lawsuit got national attention. She's been, milking the cameras for years now. Ms. James has also publicly and personally disseminated extrajudicial statements. She's posted on X more than 50 times. She's got over 500,000 followers. Engagement is big, 54 million views. So she should know that this is going to be disseminated into the public. And of course, the law and the rules say you can't do that. James knows that her statements are going to have a substantial likelihood of prejudicing Trump. Her conduct supports an inference that she's deliberately intending to cause the public opinion to shift. Her extrajudicial statements are being made to the public and being spread around. Now, it's no defense that others like Trump have commented on this. Trump is not a lawyer subject to these rules. James is also a client. James's client is the state of New York, and the state of New York has not been the subject of criticism as a result of the trial against Trump. Her comments would also only be permitted if they contained necessary information to rebut other statements, but those are affirmative statements. She's not responding to any other statements. Now, Miss James's accusation of fraud, it goes against the rules. It violates the restrictions on public trial publicity, and it adversely impacts her bar license, is what they say. James's comments also raise serious ethical concerns. Prosecutors are held to high ethical standards for their extrajudicial statements. 3.6 restricts these statements. Prosecutors are held to higher standards to protect defendants because they don't have the power. Defendants don't have any power. The government charges you, and then they can go and talk about you using all the media. In May 2021, James announced that she was opening a criminal investigation into Trump. She also formally partnered in the criminal investigation and assigned at least 2 other DAs to do the work. She filed her civil lawsuit. In April, they announced a 34-count felony indictment of Trump. That's the business records case brought by Alvin Bragg. And apparently, James is also considering indicting Trump on RICO. Wow. The November 2023 report says she's still considering that. But this is why her comments are bad. She's made extrajudicial statements. She's disseminating actual knowledge about this case. The things she's saying could prejudice this claim. And so we have to suspend her. In 2021, the Attorney Grievance Committee suspended Rudy Giuliani. They evaluated several factors. Seriousness of the offense is a factor. They also talk about the misconduct is continuing. Here, Miss James is ongoing, right? She continues almost daily to talk bad about Trump. It's expected that an appeal is going to be filed, and she keeps making statements. This is also a serious problem because she's made over 50 social media posts about all of this. It's going to result in a high sanction if it is determined that she is violating the rules. And so therefore, because there is an immediate threat to the public, the committee should seek an interim suspension of James's license, saying James violated multiple rules of professional conduct. I urge urge the Attorney Grievance Committee to suspend her, remedy the significant ongoing harm, suspend her, or disbar her immediately. Signed by Representative Elise Stefanik into the Attorney Grievance Panel in New York. And so here are all the rest of the appendices. Here you go. James said this: 1 year ago, we filed a lawsuit, Trump's financial fraud, right? Here's another one. And more X's. She's posting all over the place. She's got timelines here. She's got photos. Look how powerful I am. And I'm heroic. I'm saving America. Okay, here are all the rest of her posts. A lot of posts here for a prosecutor that's not supposed to be talking too much about any of this stuff at all. She's very vocal about it because it's her whole basis for existence, right? They don't really have much else to live for. So that's what they do instead. Now, Donald Trump responds to this. He says, all right, Leticia Peekaboo James is a corrupt attorney who knew nothing about my tremendously successful business, but still campaigned on, I will get Trump. Indeed, the actual witnesses in this contrived and baseless case established that my net worth exceeded that which was reported in my financial statements. And those statements never included my most valuable asset, which is, of course, the Trump brand. The politically biased judge, Areola, on this rigged case refused to acknowledge that the appellate division has already ruled in my favor on the statute of limitations and effectively ended this litigation. The judge has overturned 4 times during this trial alone, a record. He is out of control. A political operative who valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million when it's worth 50 to 100 times that amount. And so Trump responds to Tishy Tish. And of course, we are here awaiting the ruling from Judge Engoron, aka the Areola, aka the NIP. And he is very likely going to be disgorging Trump or fining Trump of $100+ million. And so, my friends, I hope you are joining us when we get there to cover that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thanks for inviting someone over here to come join us during our weekly live streams every day. We got a lot to talk about, all the Trump trials and, of course, the ballot removal cases. And so we'll be here covering it. Don't forget to check out some of the links down in the description below. We got some great events coming up in February at watcherlodge.com. Free to join the events. If you want to become a lodge member, got to pay for that, but the events are free for now. So come join us. We got Zen Wellness coming up and a food sovereignty event coming up next week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Watcherlodge.com. We're going to be here covering Tishy. We're going to be covering Fanny. We're covering Alvin Bragg. We got deranged Jack Smith, all of it here. And we'll look forward to seeing you right back here on the next one.